During World War II, the US military had a lot of pigeons. They weren't just cute companions for the troops or anything like that. No, these birds were trained to guide missiles to their target. In fact, between 1943 and 1946, the US military experimented with 400 homing pigeons, all in an effort to create the perfect missile guidance system. This may sound like a far-fetched idea, but it was actually considered a viable option for improving accuracy at a time when electronic guidance systems were still very much in their infancy. The US military wasn't alone in this pursuit either. During the war, Great Britain trained thousands of carrier pigeons to deliver messages, and even used them to carry small bombs. But the Americans took things a step further with a project known as Pigeon Air Force. Under this project, the birds were taught to fly to specific visual targets, such as a red circle painted on a truck or a white cloth suspended from a tree. After extensive training, the pigeons would be placed in a specially designed capsule mounted on top of a missile. Once the missile was launched, the pigeon would emerge from the capsule and be released. Its mission: to locate the target and guide the missile to it, using nothing but its eyes and its instincts. But how exactly did the military plan to guide the missile once the pigeon located its target? Well, the answer lies in the design of the missile itself. You see, the idea was that the missile wouldn't explode on impact. Instead, it would simply release a small explosive charge that would detonate a few feet away from the target, hopefully taking out the enemy. But why not just use a radio to detonate the explosive charge? Wouldn't that be easier? Well, yes. But the military was concerned about the reliability of radio guidance systems. There was also the issue of enemy jamming, which is the practice of sending out radio waves that interfere with enemy communications. If the enemy knew the frequency the missile was using to detonate the warhead, they could potentially jam the signal and cause the missile to detonate prematurely. By using a pigeon, the military hoped to avoid these problems. After all, a bird doesn't need batteries or a radio to do its job. It just needs a good eye and a strong instinct for survival. Of course, there was no guarantee that the pigeons would actually work. In the end, the birds were essentially expendable. If a pigeon failed to reach its target or was unable to guide the missile accurately, then the mission was considered a failure. Despite the risks, the military invested heavily in the Pigeon Air Force, spending over $1 million on the project by 1946. Over 400 birds were trained and 200 missiles were modified to carry pigeons. But the results were disappointing, to say the least. There were a number of problems with the system. For one thing, pigeons are not very precise animals. They can be easily distracted by things like food, water, and other birds. This made it difficult for them to stay on course and reach their target. Additionally, the pigeons could not see very well in low-light conditions, which limited the time frame in which they could be used. Perhaps most importantly, though, was the fact that the pigeons were unpredictable. They didn't always fly to the target as they were trained to do, which made the entire missile system unreliable at best and downright dangerous at worst. Ultimately, the Pigeon Air Force was abandoned in 1946. By that time, electronic guidance systems had improved to the point where they were much more reliable than birds with eyeballs. Plus, the military had developed new types of bombs that didn't require a pigeon to detonate them. With the end of the war and the advent of the atomic age, the pigeons were set free, and the missile projects put on hold until the dawn of the space age in the 1950s. But that's a story for another day. Do you think using pigeons to guide missiles is a good idea? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching.